if it wasn't for the fact Tanjiro is the main character, he would be dead this chapter. And I don't mean that in like, oh, well, he's in a situation where he's fighting a really powerful big boss character. Entirely of what I'm saying is from the fact that he's in a really bad headspace right now. Also, I gotta say, like, this chapter really showed off how much the author's art has improved, like, for real. Anyway, from the last chapter, I mentioned how it was completely the opposite layout that I was guessing. I thought it'd be Muzan, as this aggro, vicious monster man, and Tanjiro would be trying to keep himself calm, level-headed. But Muzan is actually kind of in this, I don't want to say, like, deity-like mindset, and, he's really looking at the idea of humans bearing grudges against demons, like, the same as, like, bearing grudges against natural disasters. He's just like, you shouldn't be mad at us if you're not mad at them, kind of stuff. But Tanjiro is just pissed. He's in that, like, borderline blind rage. He's mad. He's making really bad decisions. And he's just like, he knows that cutting off Muzan's head is not going to do anything. They need to get him exposed to the sun. The sun is the only thing that is going to kill him. And I imagine, sun breath, but obviously sun breath is, it's not like Tanjiro could just whip it out like anything. But they're going against Muzan. Muzan's doing some cool, like, body manipulation stuff. He's made his hands into, like, these big blades. I immediately thought of Parasite when I saw that. But even, like, some of the, like, the forming, the way that his arm looks, just Parasite. But also, this page just looked fantastic. I really love the layout of it. It's like the cool upside down room, the way that they're all moving around and just trying really hard more of the dodge. And it doesn't have that same level of chaos and just like footing like madness that it was against like the Kokoshibo. But Muzan he's not even trying at this point. He's like, seems to be more of testing out his powers and what he's doing now. But Tanjiro is just making bad decisions. His decisions are what I mean when I say, oh, he would die in this scenario. Because for him, he needs to be in that tranquil headspace. He needs to be in in a position where he's actually able to, like, fathom what's going on, to keep his mind in a place where he's not going to be, caught in attacks and just make poor decisions based off emotion and, like, irrationality rather than, like, skill, experience, and timing. He tries right then to just get into Muzan, like, probably 30 seconds in the fight, he gets really up close and wants to fight him. What they needed to do in this area is just figure out a way to crowd control him. Don't go up, try and cut his head off. Don't go up there and try and do some tricky moves. Just try your best to see if you can weaken him. Do your best at the same time. Don't make any irrational decisions. Don't take any risks at this point. I mean, it's like two of you. So, what do you really think that you and Gyu are going to be enough to take him out at this point? I mean, he had a quick lesson because he got slash on his face right then. I'm wondering, I can't really tell just looking at it. I have to scroll down and look further. If it was his eye, it does look like his eye. Like, he might have lost, like, his eye itself. I'm very curious. So, Tanjiro is going to either have, only one eye for now on, or maybe his eye will heal. Maybe it was just kind of like a surface wound. Or maybe it was enough to kind of like damage it and it'll be that kind of like bloodshot, like weird coloration, being able to heal but not fully. Or maybe he will end up going blind. Maybe he gets both eyes taken out and he ends up going blind and maybe seeing the world in that kind of weird muscle, like, and reflex things that like Kokoshibo did. I'm curious of that. I still have the theory that Tanjiro is going to end up becoming demon-like at some point in order to take down Muzan, whereas like you had Kokoshibo, you had the brother who became a demon in order to try and surpass his limits, in order to kind of like boast up his own ego to try and get ahead of his brother. Whereas with Tanjiro, I expect it to be more like he's willing to give up who he is in order to save all these people and to save his sister. But then there's like with that though, there'd be the question of like, would you be willing to die though like that willingly in that scenario, but for your sister? But then you're leaving your sister alone. I mean, it's it's an interesting topic on that one. But as it is, they're just kind of like discussing essentially like I don't really know what you guys are really going to be doing at this point, because how many pillars do you even left? Because he's looking through one of his, was that Upper Moon 4? I think it's a rank. Upper Moon 4, looking through her and seeing a dead Hanroji and I always forget his name. No, it's not Takedo. Takedo was the snake dude whose name I forget. I'm sorry. Anyway, he ends up like thinking, oh wow, they're dead. Well, taking them out. And I'm like, did they really get off panel? Like, goddamn, that's awful. Why did this happen? But I had figured out the reason that was at the end of the chapter. Actually, I was able to get an idea. Essentially just put 2 and 2 together. But Tanjirou, he really needs to slow down. He's trying too aggressively to get things done, and he's not thinking properly. Like, he's already out of breath. He's running into the wall. He's becoming unaware of his surroundings. He's too focused on kill Muzan. He's not thinking of like what the best scenario is, what we need to do in order to survive. Can I do this myself? What are the openings? Analyze Muzan's movements and his attack patterns. Those are the things that he should be trying to really deduce and trying to construct, not just like head fast, kill Muzan. That's what I was like trying to say earlier. Is in a normal scenario, if he wasn't the main character, where this was like, oh, you're gonna learn a lesson, and you're gonna grow off this, he'd be dead now. He would have gotten killed. It just would not have gone anywhere for him other than the grave. But thanks to save him, because he was on the verge of death there for a minute, Kanroji just comes right through a wall. She's not dead. She's alive. She's pretty well, like, not damaged, actually. Like, both of them are pretty okay. And, just come right through the wall, start throwing attacks at him, and even though the attack did no damage, she just looks really mad. The fact that I imagine she's frustrated. The fact that she just fought somebody who the entire time were just playing pretty much like footing games with them, just moving them around every single time and making it so they don't get to hit, making it just annoying more than anything. It'd be like, playing a game, I imagine, just constantly trying to jump up on something. I just imagine, like, someone like a platforming game, you're just like, I just keep missing, and you're wasting probably like a couple minutes each attempt, and you're just screwing yourself over. But now, Iguro, that's his name. This dude, I forget his name because I think out of all the pillars, he's had the very least amount of panel and screen time of importance. He hasn't really done anything yet. So, maybe this is going to be his time. But as it was, I was like, well, how are they alive? And Muzan is mad about it, because he's like, what happened to Nikime? Oh, that's her name, Upper Moon 4. He's mad, and you have, the guy who was with Tomeo. I'm angry at the fact I'm forgetting some of the character names. Like, I've gotten a bunch of their names now, but some of them I'm just blanking on here, right near the time they're actually needed. But it's that dude that was with the Mio. He was a demon, and he's pissed off that Muzan took her from him, and he's pretty much ended up manipulating Upper Moon 4. And because we know that Muzan is, he's able to see through his demons. It's like, well, what happened that he exactly, saw this fake image? Well, it's because it's what exactly this dude wanted to think. He's manipulating what she sees and what she does. So he showed Muzan an appearance of, 2 dead pillars to take his guard down. And he's just pretty much saying, like, he's going to drive him outside, drive him back to the surface. And so this was actually really interesting, because I was thinking, oh, maybe it takes off like a level, it obviously takes out one of his upper moons, probably one of his most important, if not the most important in this scenario. Like, even if you took all the upper moons that were still there, even though they're dead, take all of them into account, Tokushimo is was the overall most important. But in this scenario, while they're inside of this base, Nikime, I'd say, is the most important, because now you have this guy who's got full control over their base. He can make these, little space altering portals with these doors, and force Muzan outside. It's not going to be a battle of, well, how exactly are we going to get him above ground? We have a means now. His own strength of putting him in this place is going to be his, potential end. And this is a really smart way in order to do it, because now they have a means to straight force Muzan back outside, back to the surface, back to the point of where the sun can reach him. Honestly, like, at that point, I think Muzan should allow them to force him outside, and then just book it. Find a means of shelter, find a cave, find, a forest. He needs to get out of there. At this point, I'm really hoping that Muzan just doesn't get into, like, well, if I kill them all before, then it's not a problem. He needs to play it safe, because otherwise he's gonna die. I mean, it's the question is right here, because it will lead to either furthering of the series or it ending this arc with Muzan. But other than that, comment below, tell me what you thought about the chapter and where you think this is going. I really like this layout, and I say it in the same way that, again, I can see people being like, well, it's a cheap way for them to do it. I don't think so. I feel like there's going to be some people that it's like, well, of course they've got, this overly powerful bad guy, and they've got, like, a weakness that they're not going to exploit. It reminds me of, like, the fight with Acnologia in the, in the series, but that was more of a... It made sense, everything established, but it was, it obviously did have a very rushed pace. Not having that with Muzan, but it has that, we're exploiting his weakness. Obviously, he can only be killed by the sun. But also, now that he's in, now that this dude's in control of the whole base itself, he's going to use, like, use one of, I would say, use a weapon of Muzan's against him, use that to, like, set up in order to really just establish, a means of setting up that weakness of the sun, just something he can't overcome. But who knows? That question is going to be answered hopefully in the next couple chapters. Again, I'm really hoping that Muzan just says, like, no, I'm out of here. I'm playing it safe. I'm not taking the risk of dying here. Because if he dies here, then really what else is there? There's the only other possibility, like I said, is if there's demons in other countries and they're like, we want to go help other countries and stuff. I mean, that's a possibility, but it's not guaranteed. So, yeah, comment below. Tell me what you thought about this chapter and where you think this is going. Seriously, Tanjirou just needs to have, like, a little self-moment of reflection, because otherwise he's going to end up dead. He's not playing it smart. He's playing it too aggressive, and that's not who Tanjirou is. He needs to, he's calm. He needs to get his footing, like, get back in place. He needs to get his breathing under control. Other than that, like I said, comment below, thumbs up the video, from the like button and subscribe button to check out my other videos. With that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.